What's up, boys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Ron from Fantasy Flow. Week 14 was huge, man. Week 14 was what decided who's going to get into the playoffs, who's going to be last place. It's a big week, right? It's one of the biggest weeks of the season for most leagues. I know there's some people that play in, weeks in which the finals in week 18. Probably wouldn't recommend that because there's a lot of players out. But in any case, dude, it was a big week. So we're going to talk about some of the biggest storylines. We're going to go through some of the matchups that I was personally pretty interested in. And I just want to say, bro, this week was high stress for me, dude. Very high stress. I was trying to clinch a bye week, which, compared to trying to make the playoffs, obviously it's probably more stressful if you're trying to make the playoffs, but trying to get the bye week's also pretty important in my opinion. It essentially ensures you're going to be in the semifinals, right? And you only have to then win 2 weeks in a row. And winning 3 weeks in a row versus some of the best teams in your league is a tough proposition, dude, a dubious task. So getting the bye week's fucking massive, dude. I was super stressing. I'm still not out of the woods yet. It's still possible that I lose it, but we're almost there. I mean, I just need Jamar Chase to essentially get 20 points and I'm in. And even then, I can still make it. Basically, the dude who's contending with me for that bye, it looks like he's not going to get any points this week, so I might secure it. But you guys are not here to hear about my fucking bullshit and my league with a bunch of my obese childhood friends. So you're here to get the fantasy insights for week 14, bro. So we're gonna hop into that. A lot of players shat their pants this week. A lot of big name players have poop running down their leg at the moment, and it's brutal, dude. Because you're heading into the playoffs, you're wishing that some of your studs were steady and that they were producing, but it doesn't always happen, right? So I think basically it's going to be the story again this season of handcuffs, dude. Handcuff running backs are going to be the tail of the town, dude. It's going to yet again be these handcuff running backs, these dudes who are second, third, even fucking fourth for some teams on the depth chart, are going to end up being very fantasy relevant, dude. Think like Jerick McKinnon in past seasons. So just in week 14 alone, we're not even at the playoffs yet. We had Isaac Guerendo, fucking sincere McCormick, dude. Sincere McCormick. The guy's name is an adjective. And Zach Charbonnet. These guys were like high end running back ones. I think Guerendo is going to finish the week probably as like the running back 2 or 3. Sincere McCormick had like 10 fantasy points, outproduced Pacheco, Swift, fucking tons of like big name players, Chubb. And then Zach Charbonnet, obviously the running back one on the week. Absolutely insane usage, man, from a dude who in normal circumstances doesn't even see the field. And then they see the field and they get more work than the starter gets. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Essentially, the best fucking position to be in is to be a backup running back in the NFL. Because when you do play, you end up looking like a superstar. So we're going to talk first, man. Heading over to the matchups, we're going to talk about Buffalo versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is the game of the season. This echoes of um, think like fucking 6 years ago at this point when it was Jared Goff and the Rams versus the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes, and like Mahomes is like third season or second season, and it was like 54 to 53 or something crazy. This had echoes of that, right? So again, the Rams are involved in one of these shootouts. Naturally, I played against Puca, Nakua, and Kyren Williams. I had Cooper Kupp, so that kind of lessened the stress, but it could have been worse for me. But again, we're not here for me. It was a historic game, dude. Highest scoring match of the season, 850 combined yards, zero sacks, zero turnovers from both teams. There was like a blocked punt for a touchdown, but the offenses were essentially clean the entire time. So that was kind of insane. Some key players from the game, obviously, I mean, you guys know, you guys can see the box score. You got Puka Nakua, 162 receiving yards, a receiving and a rushing touchdown. As I mentioned, I played against this man. He, dude, at one point, the dude was in like a fucking ankle cast on the sidelines. I'm like, oh, thank God he can't hurt me anymore. And then on the very next drive, Puka Nakua is out there fucking wheeling and dealing yet again. No cast, looks fine, looks fucking spry, athletic, fast. He's great, dude. He's the wide receiver one for the team. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say this, man. Even the last weeks in which Cooper Kupp was kind of contending with Puka from like a production point of view, they were both kind of neck and neck fantasy wise. Obviously, last week we get the Cooper Kupp dud, right? So that was the first week where it was like, oh shit, okay, Puka Nakua seems to be the main guy, but things can still go back to how it was before. Even in those weeks where Cooper Kupp was competing, I was firmly like I was watching those games. I'm a Rams fan, as you guys can see from my hat. Fucking Puka Nakua was the man. He was the first read. He was, most yards per route run, yards per target, first downs per route run. He was getting like the intermediate routes, and Cooper Kupp was getting the short stuff. Like he's really the slot receiver. Basically, when Puka Nakua came back, they stopped using Kupp as a motion receiver. Anytime Kupp would motion, he wouldn't get the ball. He was just essentially a decoy, and he still is a great decoy because he brings like defenders to him. He commands a lot of attention. So but although Puka Nakua was stealing a lot of headlines, in that game, kind of quietly, but not really quietly, if you played against this man, Josh Allen, dude, the single best quarterback fantasy game ever. He had 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing and 3 rushing. He ran for like 70 rushing yards on top of it. Pretty much no one else did anything on the Bills other than him and the wide receivers. It was insane, dude. Josh Allen is absolutely him. If he can do anything close to what he did last week, he's going to be an absolute league winner. You're going to be fucking, body bagging anyone that you play against in the playoffs. The only concern is like if they lock up their position, what if he doesn't play week 17, or what if like they want to keep him healthy so he's not rushing the ball as much. You can see James Cook having bigger weeks moving forward, but and then we have Kyren Williams dominates red zone. There was, I think, like the second or third drive of the game. Um, they did give Blake Corum an entire drive, and I remember just seeing Kyren Williams on the sideline. As I mentioned, I was playing against Kyren Williams, so I was like, "Hell yeah, dude, this is gonna be sick." Basically, like Kyron's probably still going to clap me at that point. He already had like 12 fantasy points, but I was like, fuck, okay, good. At least they're going to maybe give Corum some work, and it won't be like a 40-point Kyron week, right? But Kyron Williams ends up doubling that up the rest of the game. Some of the notes, I think Josh Allen's performance, um, his MVP odds got to be like clear favorite, right? Like number one by a country mile. I think like Lamar Jackson was tight with him for a while there, but just with what Josh Allen's doing with the team that he has, like he doesn't have a Derrick Henry, right? He doesn't have a, um, I mean, Zay Flower. You can say Amari Cooper and Zay Flowers are kind of a wash, but and he didn't have Amari Cooper the whole season, so I don't know. It kind of solidified as the MVP in my opinion. But moving on now to Seattle, versus the Arizona Cardinals, we get 30-18. Seattle Seahawks kind of dominate this the entire time. I think like the first play of the game, there's a Kyler Murray touchdown pass to Michael Wilson, and after that point, it was pretty much all Seahawks. The Cardinals just really struggled to get involved. I think Trey McBride didn't even really see a target till like the second quarter, which really can't happen, right? Like I know he ended the game with like 15 targets, but he's like your core guy, right? Like you got to get this man involved. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. The man is like Houdini, dude. He'll disappear one game, he'll appear the next. It's just you can't really rely on him, especially in the fantasy playoffs. But knowing how fantasy football is, Marvin Harrison's probably going to have like a 30-point fucking game somewhere in the playoffs. That's just how things go. But Geno Smith, man, he led the Seahawks, very efficient passing. He had a touchdown to Jackson Smith pretty early on in the game. But the story, dude, the tail of the tape for this one is Zach Charbonnet. Breakout game, 151 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. He had like a 51-yard breakaway touchdown, really showed some speed, showed some burst. Obviously, the safeties kind of converged on him. And if they were just a second, faster on breaking to him, they might have been able to tackle him. But we saw some speed, right? So that's not something Zach Charbonnet has really been known for. And this was essentially just Jackson Smith and Charbonnet solidifying themselves and showing that they're like the core guys for this team when Kenneth Walker's not around. It's no longer going to be Metcalf as the 1A and Jackson Smith as the 1B, in my opinion. I think it's Jackson Smith as the clear one, Metcalf as the 2, Lockett. I mean, come on. I played against Lockett as well, thank God. Like he had 0 points, almost caught a touchdown at the end of the game, but key takeaways: Seahawks defense dominated. They intercepted Kyler Murray twice. The Cardinals offense really struggled, man. Limited contributions from key players, as I mentioned. Marvin Harrison didn't do much. Trey McBride, another game without a touchdown, but with like 12 targets. So this was just the Seahawks continuing to hold on to their lead of the NFC West. Like, what an insane division, dude, that you got the 49ers who, yes, I know they haven't been good, but they're on the cusp. I think they're what, 6-7 now. They just have to basically win out. They can maybe make the playoffs, and they're like out of the picture, right? Like they're not even like people aren't really giving them like a solid shot. So This division is brutal. The Seahawks really needed this win to continue to hold their lead, and they did it, man. They took care of business. So moving on now to the next game, we got the fuck. I got to fly through these, man. I'm ready at what 10 minutes in. All right, we got Panthers Philadelphia, dude. So this one, I saw a rumor that a dude put a $3 million bet on the Eagles to win this game. He probably would have won what, like $100,000. Like to him, that was maybe free money. But Bryce Young had other ideas, man. Bryce Young wanted to ruin this man's bet slip and probably ruin this man's year, if not multiple years. I don't know how rich this person was, but he showed some resilience, dude. He threw a crucial touchdown to was Adam Thielen? No, it wasn't Thielen. It was Tremble. Fuck, dude, what a nice touchdown pass to Johnny Tremble. Johnny Tremble, Jackie Tremble. Doesn't matter, dude. Lakers and foe. So, yeah, Bryce Young was great, dude. He's been impressing. He looks like a starting caliber quarterback. He looks like the number one overall pick that they thought they were drafting. Stroud has kind of turned into a fart, while Bryce Young kind of, was a fart, and now he's actually a person again. So, yeah, Adam Thielen, dude, 9 receptions for 102 yards. He's the safety valve. He's the trusty dude. Dude, a couple weeks back, Adam Thielen was on my waiver wire, and I had Leggett. I was thinking to myself, dude, I should just drop Leggett for Thielen, but I'm in a keeper league, dude. I might want to keep Leggett just in case. Fucking Thielen gets picked up by someone else, and then a week later, I end up dropping Leggett anyway, dude. I'm so mad at myself. I wish I had Thielen. I'd be starting him over motherfucking Deebo Samuel, who I had. We're going to talk about the 49ers in a little bit. But yeah, dude. Basically, Chuba Hubbard stepped up. Jonathan Brooks looks like he had a non-contact knee injury. Looks like he might have tore his ACL again, dude. Brutal. I don't know if it was on the same knee. I was trying to look on Twitter to see. I'll probably let you guys know in the next videos, maybe the waiver wire video, what is the situation with Jonathan Brooks. He got injured, dude. It looked bad. Chuba Hubbard stepped into a full-time role. Blackshear, who's the backup for Chuba and Brooks, also injured his chest randomly, so he was out. So it was basically just Chuba as like a full-time workhorse back. And I'd benched him, of course, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. He had a down week the week before. Fuck, dude. Eagles approach, they played conservatively. They had a heavy run game. They've really been leaning on the run the entire year. And that's come at the detriment to their wide receivers. I think after the game, A.J. Brown even said, like, we need to improve our passing game, dude. Our passing game is fucking dog shit. We're not going to win anything without having a passing game. And he's right, dude. He's absolutely right. I know the Eagles have a fantastic offensive line. Saquon Barkley looks like, 24-year-old, fresh out of Penn State Saquon Barkley. But without a passing game, you're not going to be able to win these tough, sluggish games. You're not going to be able to beat a team like the fucking Bills. I mean, maybe. The Bills are actually pretty bad against the run. Kyren and Corin were gashing them, but you're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs. You're not going to be able to beat like the Ravens. Definitely not without a passing game. So it's a valid concern. That wraps it up for that matchup, dude. We're going to head over now to the Minnesota Vikings versus the Atlanta Falcons. 45-28, the Minnesota Vikings end up winning this game. It's actually a tight game throughout. And then Sam Darnold just said, you know what, dude? Everybody, pack up your lunches, dude. Take your snack pack, finish it up, put it back in your lunchbox, zip them up. We're going home. I'm taking us home. And Sam Darnold, dude, throws 5 touchdowns in this game. I streamed this, man. He's the only reason I'm even doing remotely well this week was because of Sam Darnold, dude. I had Jaden Daniels and Anthony Richardson as my 2 running backs. That's a Freudian slip. So I needed a QB this week. So I went with Sam Darnold, dude. He's at the top of my streaming list. I might release a streaming video this week because I've been hitting on these streamers every week. And yeah, he showcases a strong connection with Jordan Addison, who had 3 touchdowns. Also, Justin Jefferson, who had himself 2 touchdowns. So key players, man. 7 for 122 and 2 from Justin Jefferson, 2 touchdowns. And then Bijan Robinson scores his, it's clockwork for Bijan every week. He's going to get his touchdown. He's going to get about 90 yards or 100 yards. And that's just Bijan, dude. He's also another guy that's potentially a league winner down the stretch, especially if Penix comes in, might revitalize this offense a little bit. But, the Vikings weren't bad, dude. They held in there as much as they could. It was not a revenge game, but a homecoming game for Kirk Cousins. And yeah, 2 interceptions by Kirk, though. Not going to get it done against the Vikings. You essentially have to play pretty perfectly against the Vikings with how good their offense is and how good their defense is, right? Like, you lose this game 45-28 and you throw 2 picks. right? I don't know if those two picks led to the 2 touchdown difference, right? So they lost by, what did they lose by, 17, right? So they lost by 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Like if he doesn't throw those picks, maybe those turn into touchdowns. There's a swing there. Yeah, you pretty much have to play pretty perfectly against the Vikings, which he didn't. So that's why they ended up losing the game. But that was an exciting game, especially if you had any offensive pieces for the Vikings. If you had Bijan, if you had Darnold Mooney, who I fucking played against as well. Oh man, my opponent, dude. So my opponent had Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton on bye, so he had to start Darnell Mooney. He had to start fucking. Okay, I mean I guess I got lucky. He had to start Tyler Lockett, so that's kind of a wash there. But yeah, it just sucks because he wouldn't have started Darnell Mooney, but maybe McLaurin and Sutton would have fucked me up. But anyway, moving on now to the Lions Packers. This one goes back to Thursday night. This is a playoff atmosphere, bro. These are two of the top teams in the NFC. You might even be able to say the top two teams in the NFC, just from top to bottom. The Lions maintain their top seed. They get this gritty win, dude. They really impose their will. It was an imposition, an acquisition. It was every type of issue happened with the Lions, dude. They just imposed onto the Packers. They picked up a bunch of huge fourth downs, which like iced the game. Basically didn't want to give the ball back to Jordan Love. So all game they were just going for it, dude. Dan Campbell's got balls of stone, of steel, of adamantium. He's just got the biggest, hardest, firmest, you know, indestructible balls that I've ever seen in the NFL. So David Montgomery, dude, he's kind of been like the core takeaway for me. Solidified his role, multiple red zone carries. Jahmyr Gibbs also was very involved. Jahmyr Gibbs is just lock him in for like 14 to 20 fantasy points every week with the potential to pop off for 30. But of course, I played against Jahmyr Gibbs the one week he had like 35 fantasy points because in that game, David Montgomery went down. So what's the takeaway here? If David Montgomery were to miss any amount of time, Jahmyr Gibbs is instantly a lock him in for like 25 to 30 fantasy points every week. Christian McCaffrey type upside, and vice versa, right? If Jahmyr Gibbs misses, David Montgomery becomes like a lock him in for 2 touchdowns and 100 every week. So these dudes kind of play off each other. They're great together. They're a fantastic duo. Anyway, moving on now to Josh Jacobs. Another strong performance. He's the only running back in the NFL this season who has multiple games of 3 touchdowns or more. So he's just been fantastic, dude. I think we missed out. We missed on Josh Jacobs, dude. He's the guy that we missed the most as the fantasy industry. We really fucked up with Josh Jacobs. He's just been fantastic, dude, on a great offense. And yeah, man, that does it for that matchup. Great game. As I mentioned, Lions win at 34-31. Moving on now to the Jets at Miami Dolphins. 26-32 was the score. The Jets lose again. They fall to 3-10, I believe. Holy fuck, dude. Worse than the Zach Wilson led Jets. My takeaway from this is that the Dolphins probably saw in my fucking specific league that I traded Jalen Waddle away. And immediately after I trade Jalen Waddle away, who was getting like 3 or 4 targets a game, they suddenly turned him into the cornerstone of this offense. He had like 12 targets, the most he's probably had since Tyreek Hill came. Yeah, dude, he's just popping the fuck off, dude, every week, dude. It's like a revenge game against me personally. So Jalen Waddle looks great. Uh, he's just, the tale of this game was that Garrett Wilson getting a ton of targets, Devonta Adams getting a ton of targets, both running backs, which was Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, kind of sharing this perfectly down the middle. They each got like very similar receptions, targets, rushing attempts, but it's Isaiah Davis who ends up getting the touchdown, so he ends up rewarding the fucking 3 people in the world who started him. Yeah, man, the Dolphins just kind of grit this one out, pull it out. They score over 30 points yet again. The Dolphins just look good, dude. They're just a good team, a good offense with a good coaching staff who they're kind of fraudulent, but then they're not because they win. And I think they still have a shot to make the playoffs. So not much else to say about that one. 49ers at Chicago Bears the next game. We get 38-13 the Niners. There's a lot. It wasn't as close as the score indicates. And the score indicates a 26 point or a 20 was that? Yeah, 26 point victory. So it was actually even more of a blowout. I want to say something, dude. Which camera do I look at? This camera? I mean, I only have one camera. So I fucking hate owning DeAndre Swift. I hate fantasy football. I hate how this man is used. He's got more talent than Isaac Guerendo, more talent than Charbonnet. I mean, maybe not as good at vision, but as just a pure runner and like the jitters. God damn, dude, the way that the Bears use this man, every screen pass that was intended for him got deflected at the line of scrimmage. Every single one, dude. It was absolutely insane. He had only one catch. His other like three targets were just deflected at the line of scrimmage. I was so fucking boosted. They only use him between the tackles. He's only a between the tackles like first and second down runner. If it's second and long or third and long, he's not even on the field. And hurry up, he's not on the field. Travis Homer, who I mean, Travis Homer's kind of goated. Like on the few carries he's had in his career, he's actually pretty good. But he's more of a special teams guy, right? And luckily, he gets knocked out of the game. So I'm like, okay, Swift is at least going to get the the lion's share of this fucking workload. Still is dog shit, dude. Finally, in the second half, they end up giving him the ball a few times. Breaks off a couple of nice runs, gets like a target here or there, ends the game with like 5 fantasy points, dude. It's Jover, man. It is so fucking over, dude. Listen, I'm sick of cute quarterbacks. I'm going to probably do some research in the offseason. Subscribe now if you guys do want to catch it in the offseason. Stay with me as we head into 2025, dude. We're going to do a lot of content. But I'm going to do some research into um, what types of running backs get checkdowns. Checkdowns are so fucking vital, dude. Look at Zach Charbonnet's production this last week. Like 7 receptions for like 60 yards, dude. That gives you a cushion of like 12 fantasy points. And if you can get running backs that fit that mold, is it a system? Is it the quarterback? Like I think it's a bit of both, right? Like I think Geno Smith isn't a dude who's going to be mobile and try to create in the pocket. So he's going to check down, right? Like Kyler Murray, he's going to try to make plays happen. So he's going to be like moving up in the pocket and then he's going to be looking down the field. So he doesn't check the ball down often. So I'm gonna do some research, bro. I'm gonna release some type of asset, some type of like fucking long YouTube guide about how to find the system slash quarterbacks who will check the ball down. Because DeAndre Swift's getting none of it. Fuck Caleb Williams, dude. Fuck the Bears. This new offense that's put in is even shittier for DeAndre Swift. It's like better for the receivers and for Caleb, but DeAndre Swift is just eating a bag of shit right now, dude. It absolutely sucks. Like I don't think I'm gonna be starting him the rest of the season. He pretty much just has brutal matchups. He plays against the Vikings and the Lions in the playoffs. Like no, thank you. I'm done with him. I have Brian Robinson. I have Chuba Hubbard. Like I'm gonna be going with those guys for sure. So notable performers in this game. Fuck, I talked about Swift this entire time. Juwan Jennings, dude, he's the wide receiver one, clear wide receiver one. Dude, I need to go on another rant. Where's the fucking camera again? Deebo Samuel, dude. Everybody wants to shit on Deebo Samuel. I understand why it's easy. The man looks a little beefy, but Deebo Samuel is not to blame for his woes. I'm gonna say it again, dude. Listen, I'm not a fucking uh, tape bro, right? I'm not a guy who watches a lot of game film. I don't watch like play by plays. I don't watch the full 60 or whatever. But anytime I saw anybody make a play, like George Kittle, dude, busting off like 30-yard catch and runs, right? You see at the catch when they show the replay, Deebo Samuel in a very similar area, also open, streaming down the same angle. It's just Brock Purdy will take that shorter pass, right? The shorter route. And when it's Deebo in the shorter route, like kind of closer to the line of scrimmage, Brock Purdy will then look deeper. They basically just hate Deebo. When he gets the ball, anytime Deebo gets the ball, dude, there's 2 defenders in the backfield with him. They're doing like they had a play where they motion Deebo from the left and he comes like swings around Brock Purdy and it's like a lateral pass to Deebo and it's so obvious what they're doing and there's 2 defenders on him to tackle him. He's like tries to shake one of them and he gets tackled. Like how is he supposed to break 2 tackles? Like dude, it's not Deebo's fault. It's really not Deebo's fault. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, dude. But yeah, he's open, dude. They're not giving him easy routes. They're not giving him these like, Jalen Waddle type routes or these like Jamar Chase type like crossing routes where he can make plays after the catch. They're giving him stuff like behind the line of scrimmage where he has to basically like be a punt returner. And there's like 7 fucking dudes honing in on him every time. I don't know. It's just like when you see Jamar Chase bust off those like long like 50-yard rushing receiving touchdowns, it's because he's catching like a slant route where he just has to basically beat a safety, while Deebo Samuel has to beat like 3 defensive linemen, fucking three linebackers, a corner and a safety that leave their man because nobody's blocking them. And then it's like, of course he's going to get tackled for a loss. Dude, I'm sorry for the rant, man. I'm sorry, but I'm fucking so mad, dude. Bro, I need to tell you guys why I'm so mad. I had Jalen Waddle and Rico Dowdle. I trade both of them away for Devonta Smith. I feel like a genius because Dak Prescott gets injured right before I made the trade. I felt great about that. Jalen Waddle was poop, dude. He had like less than 5 fantasy points for like the entire season, pretty much. Since then, Devonta Smith became a fart, dude. He had like 2 fantasy points, gets injured, doesn't play 2 games. So then I trade Devonta Smith for Deebo. Okay, Deebo Samuel now continues to be a far. I thought he could turn around. He was higher in most rest of the season rankings over Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith comes back, scores a touchdown this week. Jalen Waddle turns into Jamar Chase this week. He has like 12 targets, first time in his career. Rico Dowdle last week, 20 fantasy points. He's like the clear guy. Literally after I made the trade, they're like, yeah, we're going to make him the clear workhorse back now. Like, I dude, I played myself. I cucked myself. I now have to live with the results. I'm basically not going to start Deebo. So I basically gave away Jalen Waddle and Rico for no one, right? And yeah, now my opponent has him, and he's probably going to be in the playoffs. He's probably going to beat me with him. But anyway, this whole video turned into just me ranting. I'm sorry about that, guys. But that's the situation, dude. That's my week 14 analysis and my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, bro. If you guys like this kind of video, if you like this kind of medium where it's just me kind of ripping or firing at the hip, riffing, hit me up with a like and a subscribe, dude. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.